Hi guys, today I'm going to be taking you through everything I did to study for the AP Gov AP exam, and my credentials are I got a 90 in the class and I got 100 on my semester final, and I think I did really good on the test, so let's get into it. Okay, so I took Gov semester 1, which means I basically had to restudy like everything for the test because it was in May and I ended my class in December. The first thing I used was my textbook, and this was what we used in class. This is the Stories in the Nation textbook. I don't know if it's like a common one or whatever, but I read this all in class and I did a lot of annotations, and that was super helpful during the first semester. And if I ever had anything that I was confused about during second semester or when I was studying for the test, I could just go back and look at this. And it was really great because this textbook, it has a lot of practice questions in it that just come with the textbook. So I was able to use that a lot if I needed help on, for example, privacy as like a right or like the amendments. I could look at this and be like, oh, look at the privacy section and the amendment section, and then go to the multiple choice exam for the amendments and civil liberties. So that was the first thing I did, kind of as a way to refresh. And then for the class, because I took it in school, we had to make note cards. And as you can see here, I have a lot of note cards. And what I would say was super helpful is I could just go through this and remember the vocab. There are all kinds of things that's like, I'm not gonna remember what judicial restraint is if it's been 5 months since I've learned about SCOTUS. So I went back through it and I was able to remember most of the vocab terms, and the ones I didn't remember, I would just go over again. And this was helpful because my class, like, we had a list of vocab that we had to make. What you can also do is you can look it up online and try and figure out like what is some vocab things. I know there's a lot of good resources. If you just look up like AP Gov vocab words and you make note cards about that. I mean, my textbook, like, it had a glossary of words in the back, which was really helpful for understanding all these kinds of terms. But there's also like tons of resources online. Go on like Quizlet and find sets for that. I really like using note cards because it's super easy to just sort them into piles of what you know and you don't know, and you can like split them up and shuffle them in any way that you want. And this was kind of just like as a refresher because I knew the words already. I didn't have to study them and learn them. I just had to remember them because it'd been so long. And the next thing I did was I used my notes that I had. So I took a bunch of notes in the class in this notebook. This is my first semester notebook, and I could look through these if I ever needed clarification on issues. Like, it really depended on what my teacher would teach, and that's obviously how it's going to be for any class that you take, and what your teacher's teaching versus what they're not. But if I needed clarification on anything and I wanted to remember it as we had learned it, not how the textbook said, I could look at this. And then this was my big study one. This was what I was studying for the AP test right before it. I did a refresher on Foundations of American Democracy because that was the first unit and that was like the most not in my mind, which I basically just wrote a bunch of things about it. And one of the really cool things you can do is you can look up like AP Gov or any of the AP Test core concepts, and that will take you into College Board's actual website. It literally tells you, it has like the course content, and you can scroll through it and you can see like Foundations of American Democracy. Like, there's all these things that have the topics of things you need to know. Checks and balances, separation of powers, Federalists and Anti-Federalists. Like, this is super important because it's what's actually going to be on the test. You could have learned things in the class that aren't going to be on the test, but this tells you exactly what will be there. In my notes, I really just went over some of those, and I went over like the most important things. As you can see, I love pagers and writing out a ton of stuff. And then I also did another set of notes, and this one was kind of just like a refresher on all the things, because I mean, there's the SCOTUS, there's the argumentative essay, there's all of the FRQs are basically going to be on foundational documents. So I really wanted to go over that, and what I did for this was I went over the amendments, all of them. So I looked it up either in my book or online, and I like wrote them all out and why it's important to the class. For example, First Amendment. Freedom of religion, speech, press, and assembly. And it allows citizens to express themselves and their ideas without government retribution. And like, that's like the main idea of the amendment. I wrote that out. I wrote out what's important about the amendment and different cases that happened for it. Basically, like Fourth Amendment, search and seizure. Mapp versus Ohio created the idea of exclusionary rule. I wrote that kind of thing out. Then I also did all the required court cases for the class. So I basically wrote out like the court case, when it was, the main idea of it, and then like the background facts of it. So I did that for all of the cases, and I wrote out kind of what was important about them, like Gideon versus Wainwright, Sixth Amendment, right to counsel. Easy peasy. Then my last part that I did was primary documents. So there are a whole list of documents, and you can find them really anywhere online. I did all the documents from the Declaration of Independence to the Federalist Papers, and I wrote out what it was, when it was, a main idea, like the Constitution forms the basis of American government, and then like important facts about it, like checks and balances, divided powers, federalism, etc. And I did that for the Federalist Papers and Brutus 1 as well, which was really important because that's definitely going to be on your test, and that was definitely something I needed to study. Then the last thing I did as kind of final review before the test was I looked up AP Gov practice online, which I used Albert.io a lot because my teachers gave us Albert.io, but another really good resource is like Khan Academy, or you can literally just like look up a ton of things. Like Heimler has a lot of stuff, and if you're confused about a topic, I would definitely recommend watching Heimler's videos. And there's always going to be like a Quizlet or like a note set or like a Kahoot set that somebody made about the topics that you're looking for. My main tips are to, if you took the class in school, go over your notes and try to remember everything that you learned, or I went over my note cards. Then write out the primary documents and the foundational things that you really need to know that are definitely 100% going to be on your FRQ and probably in a lot of the multiple choice questions as well. And then once you are done with all that and you feel like you have your basic understanding of the course, then go into practice questions. But multiple choice is all about like being able to read the question and knowing which one's like the best suited answer, instead of like you do obviously need to know the course content, but knowing how the multiple choice questions work is also super important as well. You can practice the FRQ as many times as you want, but the practice FRQs are not going to be the same as the actual FRQ. Like our actual FRQ was some random court case in Florida that I had never done a practice FRQ that was like that, because it was just like something completely out of the blue. So you can practice FRQs a lot, but really you just need to know the foundational documents in order to do well on your FRQs. So yeah, those are all my tips for AP Gov, and I wish you best of luck in your classes or on the AP test or whatever you're using this video for. Bye!